Welcome to Rediscovering You. Today, I am so excited to introduce to you Natalie Olson. Natalie is the founder of Fehu Farm Apothecary. Natalie is also a specialist in plant spirit medicine and a wonderful herbalist. And I am thrilled to have her on the podcast today because she is a woman who has truly embodied being able to shift your identity, pivot, reimagine yourself at so many different junctures of her life based on her experiences that she's had. And she's created something so magical and beautiful out in the state of Washington. And I can't wait for her to share her stories and her wisdom with you today. Natalie, welcome to the show. I'm thrilled to have you here.
Thank you. I am so thrilled to be here with you on this beautiful day.
Yes, I'm looking at the background where you are right now, and it looks just magical out there in Washington. I really wish I was there right now.
We have had abnormally nice weather for this time of year, and I'm trying to soak up every bit of it. Come on, vitamin D.
As you should. Seriously, take advantage of that. So can you please start, because you have such a rich background and so many different amazing experiences in your life that it's hard to even know where to start. Can you give just some of the highlights of your journey and who you are at this present point in time, and then we'll dive into the conversation.
Yeah. So, I it was 5 years ago, yeah, 5 years ago exactly, was this huge transitional moment for me where I was a mother of a 5-year-old, a wife to a man who was ill, that was about to get really ill and pass away. We were honestly, it was like the beginning of February when he went into a coma and then passed away in March in 2020. And I was in this moment in my life where I was being asked to wake up. I was owned two businesses and we ran them, and I was going all the time just so busy and asleep and missing my child's growing up and not present in my life. I was just busy. That was it. I was always busy, but I wasn't really like, I feel like I was asleep and I wasn't fully living my life. And then came this time where we found out that my husband was sick. And in that transition period, I kind of woke up to the fact that if he's sick, I need to be more present in my life now. Whether or not he makes it through this or he doesn't, I have to be here more. My life has to change. I need to be able to find a deeper level of living. And I was prepared over the course of time, but anyways, we can go into that. It was a wake up for me. And he did end up passing away. And in that process, I was able to wake more fully and start to shift my life to be more present with my son, to be able to be more present in myself and find who I was in this like world. There's so much information. There's so many things. Really like take time to explore myself and be curious about what nourished me, what built me up, what pieces of this world I wanted to be part of and which pieces I didn't. And as I went along, I found my love that I've always had for herbalism and alternative medicines and alternative healing. It's always been there, more so when I was young, and then it went dormant and I just kind of went along with the like narrative of where we are in our current system. Then as I had time and space, I just was able to pull back my passions and what drove me and what pieces did I really want, and listen to myself and listen to my guides and be present enough to hear what I'm being asked to do in this life and where my soul journey was leading. Everywhere along the way was leading me to that. Even these times of me being in more of a sleep-wake state were all leading up to preparing me for me to step into my path and my passions. Yeah. So herbalism school, the School of the Sacred Wild, which is an amazing program that really helps you go to a deeper level with your herbalism. It's an amazing apprenticeship program that I went through 2 years of, and it really helped me to be able to connect on an energetic level with these herbs, not just in their constituents, but on a deeper level that shifted me in my perspectives on the entire world and opened me up to so many different things. And now I have my apothecary, and we opened a business partner and I opened the North County Wellness Collective here in my small little town, where we're offering different practitioner space to see their clients, as well as offering our small community some alternatives to the standard processes and the full apothecary, and workshops and learning and women's circles. And I have found love again. I'm building a beautiful partnership, and my son is now 10 and thriving, and we do a hybrid homeschool, and just like so much has shifted in my life to allow me to connect deeper and to be more present in my everyday. So that's kind of a sum up of what. There's so much more.
There's so much to unpack there. Wow.
I'm sitting here on land that I purchased from my grandmother that has been in our family for 100 years. And I'm building a beautiful medicinal spiral that will be something here. There's so many things, but there's just soul callings all along the way.
So this is incredible, the things that you have done with your life and with your soul's purpose, once you tuned in and once you paid attention to the signs that were there and listened to them. And I think for so many people, we live in the state that you described where we're kind of asleep and not fully present. We're just, going through the motions and doing what the expectations are within the system that we have. And especially, if you were going through the loss of your husband who is sick, I think and I'm so sorry for your loss, because that I know is just incredibly devastating to lose somebody with that relationship and the father of your son. But for you to now use that, not use it, but be able to find opportunities to tune into the signs that are there. I'm curious if you can speak a little bit more about, for helping people understand what are some of the signs, what were some of the things that you noticed either within yourself or in your external world that were like flags along the way that, hey, we need to pay attention to this. This is important here.
Yeah. So it started there's little moments leading up, but the big activation moment for me, for my first recognizable moment of just activation was the silliest thing. I was reading it was in the fall right when we found out that Ben was sick. And we didn't know at that time we had a lot of hope that it would shift into him being able to heal and everything. But it was this moment. I was watching a little Facebook post from a mom of my kids from my kid's school. And she was talking about maiden mother crone. And she was talking about that in teaching her daughter this. And I heard those 3 words in a row, and I'm sure I had read them or heard them in a movie or what at some point in my life. But I heard those 3 words and it sent like electric shock through my entire system. Like it was like I shifted on a cellular level, and it activated something inside of me that just was so curious and hungry for information. And I ran with it, and I started just researching and looking into things and asking questions and finding people who were in a similar path and watching to see what they were doing, and I was very much alone in my journey at that time. I didn't know it was uncomfortable, but yet something I could not ignore. There was a insatiable curiosity. And I ended up working in the world of dreams with a lot of Marion Woodman's work. And I started having these dreams that were so vivid and so important. And one of them was this dream to bring me here. And the message of it was like to slow down, Natalie. Like I was driving to my grandmother's house here, and it was going around a curve, and all of a sudden there was a sheet of nails across the road, but they were only this tall. So I was like, oh, I can plow through that. We're almost there. So I started going, but as I just kept trying to like push through, the nails got taller and taller and taller. And finally I had to stop, and I got out of the car, and there was in the field here, like right, probably where I'm sitting, was this house that was old and broken down. And it was a great grandparent's house or something like that. And I knew to go down in there, I had to go down into the basement, and there was this closet that was covered in muck. And I had to open this door and clean out this muck. And then I was able to open this well that had beautiful clear water. And there was all this muck and this old broken down house, and this everything was around it. You would never know that there was this crystalline, beautiful water inside. And it was just, and I knew, and I had like seeds in my pocket and this water. And I was like, how do I get my water? How do I get the water out there so I can plant seeds? And it was this message to me, one, to come here. And at that point, I started talking to my grandparents about, possibly buying the property in the future and, and moving in that direction. I knew instantly that it was like I had seeds, and I knew that like I had this beautiful well inside of me that was crystalline and clear and ready to like come out. But I had to like remove some of the muck, and I had to clear out the space, and I had to like move into this. And there was the overall message of like, so that was like the activation words that changed me, the search that leads me to actually start recording every single one of my dreams. And there's many more that happened during that time period. And there's so much that I learned about myself through that. And reading like Women Who Run with Wolves and, and reading all these books and like exploring and finding my way towards like finding like the magic inside of me and stepping into just like these small little moments, there was big activations, and then there's small little ones that you feel where it clicks. It clicks a little lock inside of you, and it unlocks something that you already knew, that was already there. It's like written on our bones. It's there deep inside, And so it's just a matter of like going through. And there's so many. Also, we were talking the moment I heard kirtan for the first time. I was in Costa Rica with my mother and my family, and my mom and I were gonna go to this cacao ceremony. I wanted to like do something to like for her that was a little alternative but still comfortable, and I was still again earlier on in my awakening. And we show up, we have to go through a lightning storm to get there, leave my 6-year-old or 7-year-old and my 17-year-old nephew or 16-year-old nephew at the Airbnb in the middle of a lightning storm all around them. So just hang out and drive through this torrential storm to get to this house. And we were like, we are doing this. This is important. Mm-hmm. It was so important. Nothing was going to stop us. We knew we would be held, but we knew it was important to go. It was very important to be there in that space. And then we show up and the sun comes out and it's beautiful. And the woman had made this special event for us, and she invited some people from town. Mm-hmm. And 2 of those people were musicians, and we sat and we sang these beautiful mantras that I had never heard before. But the moment I felt the vibration in my body as I sang along, the moment, like I knew them already. I knew all of them. They were in me. I had them inside already, and I was able to sing along, and it like awoke it was like the first moment of me realizing how much frequency and vibration can wake up and shift you on a cellular level. And now I work with the drum, and I move a lot of energy with people in my drumming, and it's growing into a vocal thing as well. But it was like that first little key was turned in this recognition of like that feeling inside, and these words that were already in me. They were already there,
Right.
you know, and it's such a beautiful experience to have, like, to have these moments of remembering. I call them rememberings. It's less of learning new things. It's more remembering what's always been inside of you.
Yes, 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 all of this. And I like how you put that into words, is that it's like you're remembering. I've had similar experiences, and I can relate to exactly what you're saying, where you can't explain how, but you just know something is there, something is right, something is part of who you are. And I
Yeah.
love that now in your journey, it seems like you're really in a place where you're trusting your intuition. You're trusting when these signs, when these things pop up along the way, that you know that it's truth, and that you know it's you, and it's you reawakening, coming back to yourself, coming back home. And I love that you're able to do that, because I think so many people, we might hear it like signs, or we might get an inclination, but then our logical mind shuts it down, or we ignore it, and
Yeah.
keep pushing forward and going about our business, and don't give it much thought. Same with dreams. I love that you talked about your dreams, because I think dreams are so powerful, and there's so much wisdom and knowledge and information to be shared when we look at our dreams.
Mhm.
Can you talk a bit about how in your evolution, how have you learned to grow and trust when you're getting these downloads, or when you're put in a situation where you're getting information and something resonates with you, or you feel a shift at a cellular level? This is hard to put into
Yeah.
words. I'm sorry that I'm going to ask you to
It
try.
is.
It's the worst.
No, it is. It's, I mean, like, it's on like an atomic level. It's less even, it's like in your, it's like so deep, it changes the structure of you, you know, like, so it's, I mean, I was put in a unique situation when Ben was sick, that I was in this, I, the world slowed down around me, you know, like, and I was able to, I knew I needed to deepen my life, and I knew that I needed to be able to listen. And so that activation words, where I was prepared for it. You know, I was prepared in this way of like knowing there was a shift that needed to happen. And so when it came to me, I was ready. And I feel like we have these moments in our lives, and they're like pre-programmed. They're moments that we can choose to like, they're like little karmic ties with people, where we're like, okay, you're gonna tell me that at this time in my life, and hopefully I'll grab it. You know, I feel like it's almost like something we have the choice to how we move with it, but it's something that's almost like it's a prearranged moment in time that allows us to wake up to something different, or to shift our lives when we need to. And I mean, I didn't know at the time, at that first activation, exactly what was going on. I just knew, like, I knew I had to move with it. And then I'm stepping, my life slowed down, and I was able to really see the little moments, like when the day that Ben passed away was the last full moon of winter, and it was March 9th, 2020. And I was flooded with messages, you know, from full moon things or whatever, but it was all about rebirth. And I was so slow and so present in it was such a slow day, like time stopped, and I was so present in this moment of knowing that this was a rebirth for him and for me,
Yes.
that it was like given to me in this slow pattern. And I was lucky enough to have that. I mean, I feel so fortunate that I had that time, you know, as much as it's like the hardest thing to go through, it was also given to me in a way that I was able to, like, he blessed me in a way that I was able to really like move into it, and step into it. It was also, I mean, the world did actually shut down 3 days after he passed away during COVID. You know, it was like the world shut down, everything slowed down. And I was like put in this very like unique situation of being deep in grief and deep in myself, and also having the opportunity to slow down and really be present. And so it's like And as you go along, you start to see more and more, and you start to feel like there was another situation. I was supposed to go to a big women's retreat in Glastonbury with a bunch of people, and almost everybody canceled because the travel restrictions hadn't like calmed down yet. And this was in 2022 in January, and I'm supposed to be going to England where it's going to be rainy and all this stuff. And I'm like, but I had to go. And there was 3 women who we had this like, have to go. We have to go. And we stepped in faith and not in fear, and that's something that is a huge piece that I think is being so actively present in myself right now, is the stepping through in faith in yourself and faith in your divine purpose, in your soul path, and knowing that that we are provided for when we're stepping through, like at all times, but and even our most like horrific moments, our hardest times are there to help us grow, and they are part of our soul path. Like this, Ben passing away and me being a second generation widow, because my father passed away when I was 8, so like this second generation like widow, it was like I knew it was my soul. I was given that it was my soul path, that was his soul path needed to shift, and he needed to be able to move on to his new rebirth. And my soul path was this one, and to raise Tav and to be able to step into myself more and give me this time to grow. And anyways, going back to like Glastonbury, but having that faith that we knew that we weren't going to get stuck in a hotel for 10 days, like it's 14, and that we knew that we would be able to move through this. And it was the most amazing, life expanding, important trip. It shifted me on many levels. There were so many different activations and moments that I still feel deep in myself right now from that time. And the 3 of us together, like if one of us wouldn't have come, it wouldn't have been the same. Like there was this, and we didn't even really know each other. We'd barely met each other, but it was supposed to be, we had this dynamic to hold each other's energy in these transformational moments, and to move deeper into ourselves and into our journey and what it meant for us. And I think it was supposed to be, we were not supposed to be on the big group. This was our individual journeys, it wouldn't have been the same. We would not have had the same moments. We would not have created these same things if it was different. It was supposed to be the way it was. So it's like stepping into it in faith and not fear, and knowing when there is like a really big, like, yes, in your soul. Oh yeah. My language, but like when that like knowing that you will be supported and you will be like, and learning to listen to that and know when that is your truth, and and I mean,
yes, like it's following your heart, not your head. Like if you were feeling pulled to go to Glastonbury with these women, and that there was the faith over,
I would have gone by myself. Like I was going to go by myself.
You just knew you were going. Yeah. Absolutely. What was supposed to happen for you to go with these specific women, you provided for each other what you all needed on your soul's path. And to know, I feel like you know when you're making the right choice, like just because it feels right, it feels in alignment, and it's hard to put into words logically, but you feel that it's the right thing to do, and there is no fear attached to it when you do it. You just feel at peace with the decision. Beautiful that you were able to do that. You had such a time with them. And I agree that it wouldn't have been the same if you went with this big, huge group. It was exactly what you needed. And it gave you more moments of awakening and more, probably, I'm guessing, like little signs of confirmation that, yep, this is right. This is right. This is right.
Yes. Exactly. Well, and so much healing happens when you slow down and you really go inside. Because if we were in a big group, there would have been so many other distractions where we had lots of independent time. I mean, the weather was like incredibly beautiful. So I was running around barefoot on the tour, following like a trail of rabbit hair to find the special. I mean, I was honestly like ridiculous, but it was so beautiful and like so in alignment. And there's this freedom to be able to just really go inside. And one of the biggest like messages I got was like in that moment was like, the journey is not up and out. It's not escaping. It's not finding something else or outsourcing. The journey is down and into
100%.
ourselves, into our heart space, and finding ourselves more and learning what nourishes us physically, emotionally, all of it, spiritually, like finding the things that is like our person, and finding our curiosity about ourselves. Like there's so much healing that happened in those time periods of slowness and of quiet and of internal and of being alone by yourself. So like,
a lot of people are scared to be alone, or they feel uncomfortable.
And then being able to come back into communion with women, to be able to have community, because it's just as important to have that community. So if I was there by myself, yes, I would have found that, but also like, like running around the tour barefoot and then getting to the top right at sunset and seeing my sisters walking up at the same time, and us being able to sit there together and watch this amazingly beautiful sunset while some random other pilgrim woman is singing in Gaelic the most amazing like lullaby to the sun. I mean, I just like, it's this wild moment of independence and finding yourself, but then also being able to share in community and resonate off of each other, and finding women who can hold you in these moments of big transformations. And so there's like this balance of all of it.
I love this. And right now, I want to transition to what you are choosing to do professionally with the farm and what you're creating for your community around you to help and heal other people. Can you speak a little bit about what you're currently doing with the farm?
Yeah. So here we call it Fehu Farm. Again, it's the mission here was given to me on my very early on in my herbal apprenticeship. I was working with nettles, and on my very first independent like plant spirit journey with nettles, where you drink a nettle infusion and you feel it enter your body, and you allow it to go to travel your whole body, cellular level, infuse you with the spirit and the energy of nettles. And then you actually can step out of yourself and into the spirit realm, where you can actually speak, ask questions, be with the spirit of nettles. There's a lot more to it, but basically you can work with them on a level. And I was working with nettles, and when I came back into myself with me, I had all of these dreams up swirling up in the ethers, ready for me to try to pull down in my head, in the, these ideas and these like callings. And I was able to, with the help of nettles, like actually bring my ideas down into my body to be able to like ground them and bring them into the world. So she helped me like birth this idea of the farm. And I was able to just come straight out of it, draw like the entire plan, at least the initial plan of this massive spiral garden. So it's so we are a farm that we also do regenerative agriculture, and we have like poultry and sheep. Currently I don't have any sheep, but we'll have more sheep in the spring. We sold our flock last year, but so we're working with this land on a way that can be rebuilt and built back up after years of just being kind of forgotten about. This big field here, it's 8 acres, and it was used as like a mint field years and years ago, but now it's been like just left because it was like the people they leased it to used a lot of toxic things on it too in that last year, and it really hurt the land. And so it had been like dormant for almost 30 years, and no one had been doing anything with it. And so my mission in this whole planting seeds, and I knew there was something here. I knew there was a bigger picture happening on this land. So the actual mission here, and what came to me, is to build a big spiral garden that's hugelkultur. So behind me, you can kind of see the initial mounding of the central spiral. We're just starting with I've been collecting debris for years, and so it's hugelkultur. So it's like you put down like decayed wood and put down a layer of like sod that's been flipped over, and then you start building the soil on top of that, and it creates this ecosystem where you have like lots of different areas. So you'll have really wet areas, really dry areas, lots of sun, lots of, so you can plant in these different mini ecosystems, and it'll be spiraling out and cover about 3.5 acres of this land, and it'll be medicinal herbs primarily growing in this spiral. And the mission there was to have a place for people to come, and it's like almost a labyrinth. We're spiraling in deeper into ourselves and deeper in connection with spirit as we walk this spiral path, as we walk into the center. And as things grow and as we plant and this becomes its full creation, it'll be a meditation. As you walk the spiral, there will be different plants and different herbs that call out to you. Which ones did you have to reach out and touch? Who did you have to like smell the leaves of? Who did you pick something from? And you pay attention, and they're calling out to you for a reason. And then as you journey, you can ask questions and connect with the spirits of these plants and connect deeper into yourself, and then also learn about them and be in this space. So it's a space of like deep connection. The name is Fehu Farm, and my bind rune that I use for the logo is the Norse rune Fehu, which is all about rebirth and abundance out of like hard work, that cycle of life and death, because this is my rebirth, and this is the rebirth of this land too, to be able to hold energy for people and to draw people in and to be here and to be a vessel of healing. That the land deeply wants to be able to hold that. And then the other part of the bind rune that I use is Anzu, which is it's a connection to the divine. So it's like this communication with the divine. So it's like this idea of rebirth and communication and growing our ears to hear and our eyes to see, like growing that, like expanding our perceptions to be able to connect deeper and to listen and to communicate with spirit. And as it grows and as we build little like yurts or whatever we build here, like it will become a place where people can pilgrim to and journey to and come and commune with the spirit of different plants and with themselves and with the land and connect deeper. And so that's dream here on the farm.
Incredible. And like, it's like you are creating with the farm, with the land, like what happens within you, a rebirth, and connecting with spirit, connecting with the earth, connecting with plants. And you're providing a space for other people to have similar awakenings on your land. And so you are sharing what you have gained and paying it forward and helping other souls. And you already have a vision in your mind of what it's going to grow into. You've already start going back to your original dream of like planting the seeds in the well. Like you're doing it.
Yeah.
And as you're talking, I very much see the vision that you have of what your land is going to become and what it's going to mean for so many souls that travel to it. Like, I think it's so incredible and unique to have a spiral with like using the qualities of the land, the wetness, the shade, the sun to cultivate different herbs that are meant to help and heal others, and then to educate people there too. It's wild the impact that you are going to have, that you've already had, yes, but that you're going to have. It's just going to spiral out even more. And I 100% see people making this a destination to come and to meditate and to reflect and to connect with themselves and to have their own spiritual awakenings that are going to be so profound, not just because of what you created with the land, but because of who you are and the spirit and energy and love and light that you bring and that you are infusing into everything that you're doing with the work that you do with the land. It is just so inspiring that like you started with an idea and look at what you're doing. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then as the farm grows, last year I was given the opportunity to open a wellness collective in our small town. So like it's this at first I felt like it was a distraction from the mission of the farm, like I was like, what is this? But it was again this moment it was prepared for me. Like there was a woman who opened up a little apothecary in my small town. I mean, she was a massage therapist, and she opened this little space right next to a yoga studio. And I just happened to start to talk to the woman who ran the yoga studio. I was making her a few teas for like a Christmas gift. And, from the apothecary, I was running out of my little shed here. And I pulled up to the space and I saw her in that space, and it hit me like bam, right in the heart. Like, oh my God, I was supposed to do that. What in the world? Why am I not in there? Like, it was this moment. I thought I lost my opportunity. I thought I had like this was something. And I was like, but it's not even, that wasn't my mission. Wait a second, And then, and I start to cultivate a relationship with the woman who runs the yoga studio and decide to do a couple guided meditations in her space. And then all of a sudden, about a month, maybe not even a month after that initial, I was supposed to be there. The woman who opened the apothecary, she built shelves. It's beautiful. It was like ready to go. She decided in the middle of the night they decided to just quit. They didn't want to have this space anymore. They had a 2-year lease. They had to figure out what to do with, and they took everything out overnight. Like it was gone. And Heather, who runs the yoga studio, sent me a picture, and she was like, we're going to do something with this, right?
That wasn't a sign from the universe that you needed to have that space. I don't know what it is.
It was built. It was built for me to step into. It was like, I couldn't even, how do you say no to that? There was it didn't even take that much to start up. It was already built out. It was almost, we had to do quite a bit of shifting, but it was ready to, it was prepared and ready to go for me to just step into. I was able to just pull all of my stuff from my little apothecary shed, and it fit perfectly on the shelves. Every jar fit. It was beautiful.
It's meant for you.
Yeah, it was seriously, it's one of those moments where I asked myself, as I was like, gosh, this feels I felt like it would be something that would pull me away from this mission here and what I'm trying to grow. And yes, it might have slowed it down, but it also was what I needed to build community.
Yeah.
Because I moved home to a place that I lived 20 years before, but I didn't know anybody anymore. Not really. It had grown so much and shifted. And I was here doing my mission all by myself, but I knew I needed a community with me. I knew I needed more than, it was more than just mine, this thing here. But I didn't know how to move forward. And I was being called to work with women, and I was being called to create something and to gather because we need to gather. But I didn't know how to move forward. And I knew it was time. I was told by the land in Peru that it was time to stop waiting. It's time to stop hiding. But I didn't know how to move forward. I came back from there and I was like, I'm going to start some type of women's group. And I didn't know how. I didn't have the space for it. Here on the land wasn't ready yet. And then all of a sudden it's provided in this space. And now we have a women's circle, and now we have all these workshops and these beautiful ways to grow. And we had kirtan at our space last weekend, and it was the most beautiful experience. And to bring that to the community and to have other people have these moments of recognition. And so it was important for me to step into that. And as I was weighing it, is this my path? Is this what I'm being asked to do? I just stepped inside and asked myself, what does it feel like to say yes? And it was it's scary, but it's exciting. And I was like, what does it feel like to say no? And I was like, I can't even imagine it. I
Right.
cannot imagine saying no. So it was like so easy to like when you step inside and you're like, this next step, like what? Yeah, there it might be, you know, uh, like, okay, I have to invest in this financially too, and like all of these things and like all of this trust, but it's a matter of like if we step through and we know we can feel that, like, what does it feel like to say yes? What does it feel like to say no?
That's
And then like
cool
move into,
that
yeah,
people can do that too. Like if you're not sure about a decision, try it on for size and pay attention to how it feels because you get a lot of
how it
important
feels.
information doing that. And for you,
Yes,
the idea of no just wasn't an option. It's just like,
it
nope.
wasn't. There's
Yeah.
no say. Really, I could not say no to it. It's like, okay, no, there was really just no, it was like, okay, all right. So yes, this is it. And then we just, so it went from me not knowing that was going to even happen in early January last year, 1 year ago, to us opening in March. And now we're, coming on a year being open, and it's growing and beautiful, and it's creating community, and it's exactly what is needed. And I can be there to like hold that space and to create that environment for people to be able to come and explore and find, when they're early on in their journeys of like of rediscovery of like finding what's important in them, like they can come to a space that is safe and will be open,
Mm.
and have people who are already going through it too, because that is something like as you wake up to yourself on a more divine level and on a deeper level, like it's scary, like which way do you go, how do you move through this stuff, what is important and what's not, and finding people who will support you in that journey and help you grow, and yeah, because there's so much there, like that's something beautiful that I learned in the herbal apprenticeship with the Sacred Wild, was that like there's so much like capitalism in this journey of ours. And yes, there is value. Of course, people have value and what they've learned has value. But like finding that balance and finding people who you can trust in your journey as you're moving in, and knowing that you don't have to go buy a bunch of stuff and spend a lot of money, because most of the journey is in here.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I bought a lot of crystals and a lot of oracle decks and a lot of things in the beginning, feeling like I needed so many things to be able to access myself, and knowing, and now I'm pared down to a journal and like basically,
You really don't.
yeah,
Yeah.
some herbs, some candle wax, and that I'm always dipping beeswax candles and doing, like some basic stuff. You don't need a lot.
What
And finding ways to ground into this Mother Earth, finding places to be where you can really like settle in and find that energy flow of trust and support. Because that's something too. It's like as you go through and you're held and that you're loved no matter what. Like we don't have to. There's no earning our love from Source, from the Mother Earth, from Father Sky. It's there innately. There's not this earning thing, so there's so many things. I don't know.
So many things, but I think it's so beautiful that you're creating this space for other souls to come to, and that you're holding this space for them, because it is scary if you are embarking on your own spiritual awakening and you feel alone, because sometimes it could feel like you're talking another language to your friends and family if they're not on the same place as you, and it's hard to explain things, that sometimes it's hard to put into words what you're going through and what your journey is. So being able to be in community with people that get it, that people are also trying to do the same things and learning about themselves and reawakening themselves, it's really helpful. And Natalie, I could totally talk to you for hours about any number of the subjects that you've talked about. But I know we have to close up, so I wanted to ask you one final question. If somebody is listening to this and scared to take a step or unsure if what they're feeling is truly, if it's truly meant for them, or if it's good for them to be doing, what advice do you have for somebody who might be embarking on their own, beginning of their own awakening?
Yeah. Um, I think one, knowing that deep down inside, you already know you have the answers, and finding a way to transmute the fears around what that means and where it might take you and the gifts. And really stepping into, I like to, even in my herbalism, I like to start with like, what feels nourishing? Like, what do you think, like, as you're stepping into anything, is this something that's building me up? Is this something that's nourishing me? Whether that's the food you're eating or the, the books you're reading or the media you're consuming or the next step you have to take. Like, is this nourishing to me? And is it build me up? And in that question, it starts to allow you to see the answer. And really taking time to, like, you can even use your body as like a pendulum where it's like, and you can figure out in yourself, people do it differently. Sometimes people lean in if they want something, like if it's true for them, they're leaning towards it. Like if you're picturing that, is this for me? And you figure out if your body leans into it or away from it. Sometimes it's like spiraling is a yes. And, and leaning is the no, going back, so it's like, it depends on how you feel yourself, and you can ask yourself ahead of time. And as long as that's your intention and your body, you just say, okay, leaning forward is a yes, leaning back is a no. You create that intention, and then you just sit with the answer and see what your body's reaction is to it. And that will tell you a lot as well. And then, and really stepping. Yeah. So I just decided to start a little GoFundMe for the spiral garden project, for this Fehu Farm spiral. So I will link that, just because I feel like it's something bigger than myself. And as we move in to it, it'll grow and be something so beautiful. And then I have a website where I do Reiki, distance Reiki or in-person Reiki with clients. And it's not just standard. It's a very deep energetic practice. It's almost more, someone recently told me that I shouldn't just call it Reiki. It needs to be something different, because it's on a shamanic level Reiki of clearing out and calling in and really creating like coherence in the body of what you're wanting to bring forward, and like allowing those other pieces to move out that are no longer needed. And so those are on my website, as well as come April, I am starting a monthly gathering that it'll be a women's gathering to connect deeper with different spirits of the herbs. So we'll be working with one or two herbs and just go into a deep meditation, as well as connect in like that idea of the women's circle. And it'll be like a donation based thing where you can donate what you can, suggested like, donation of 15 to 22 or something, but it will be donation, because I want it to be accessible for everyone. And it'll include a little bit of a community private Instagram group where I post different things throughout the week and the month about the energies that we're going through in the seasons. And it'll be very seasonal to help us like get back in this rhythm with the earth, and trying to follow the energies that we are swirled around in all the time. So help us like really capture these times and these seasonal things, and the different ways that herbs can help us work with that, as well as like energies and ideas. And then just a place to gather, to be in community and to learn from each other as well. So it's so that is where we are, where my current leanings are, as well as here in Washington. I have I have different things that are happening all the time in our wellness collective, and I also work one-on-one with people as well. So that's on the website. There's a one-on-one, distance or in person. So those are the different things I'm doing right now. And yeah, how
Natalie,
you can connect with me.
do.
Thank you very much. It's been such a pleasure.